The challenges facing our teens today mean that more than ever, we need to be there to support them and encourage them. The DrStem Show is here to provide discussions about topics that will help promote healthy relationships, self-image, and success for teens, parents, and the community. Our young people can achieve more in life than they ever dreamed possible. The DrStem Show, hosted by Dr. Stem Malatini, will foster these discussions and encourage your participation.
Passion test for kids and teenagers. Most people don't even take time to look at the skills that they're good at or even what it is that they're passionate about. Can you imagine for kids, teenagers especially, how difficult that is to figure out what it is that they want to do with their lives, what it is that they were created for? Today we have a special guest that is going to help us to determine what your teenagers' passions are. Welcome to the show, Susan Casey.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Dr. Stem.
Thank you. My question to you as an audience is, have you ever wondered why teenagers sometimes, they don't like to wake up to go to school. They don't like to do their homework. They hate their classes sometimes. You know why that is? Because they don't know what it is that they want to do in their lives. And that's why today's show is especially good for you parents as well, to go and figure out what it is that your teenagers are passionate about. That way they'll be so enthused and happy to get up for a change,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So before we start, I think what I'm going to do is to just have you talk a little bit about yourself and what brings you here today.
Okay. Well, I'm Susan Casey, and as I said, it is a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I'm a licensed mental health clinician, and I work for a national behavioral health organization providing services to youth 0 to 21. And that's how I got into the passion test for kids, as a matter of fact, because I wanted to be able to give our clinicians an additional tool to really help elicit those passions from kids that we work with.
Yes. Yes. And one of the things that I know as well, because I read your background before we started, I noticed you're a writer as well. Tell us a little bit about, some of your writings that you have done and where you are.
Well, I just completed, I have a novel, it's a young adult novel about kids in prison.
Okay.
And I worked with kids in prison for many, many years as a volunteer, teaching them a therapeutic writing course, and again, helping them to identify their passions.
Yes.
So that when they get out of juvenile detention, they'll be able to live a life, that they're more excited about living.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm also writing, I also finished a second novel called The Butterfly Girl.
Butterfly Girl, what is that one about?
That's also about two teenagers, two teenage girls who and how they overcome bullying in school.
Oh, so it's all about the teenagers, because when I saw YA novel, I was wondering what that is.
It's a young
I'm just
adult.
writing young adults
Yeah,
novels.
young adult novels.
Okay, so today we're talking about the passion test for kids, and I know that's one of those topics that both you and I are very, very interested in, because as the audience might not know, Susan and I met in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina. That was in 2012 or 13?
2013.
And 13, and we were being certified as passion test for
Adults.
individuals,
Yes.
adults at that time, and then you went on and took one for the teenagers, and I did another additional one for businesses. But today we are especially focusing on helping the teenagers find their purpose and their passions. What is the passion test for kids?
So the passion test for kids. Well, let me take a step back.
Okay.
The passion test facilitation that Dr. Stem and I did together is for adults and also older teens.
Yeah.
The passion test for kids is for some of the younger kiddos, and I would say up to 13, 14 years old. Okay. And then any kids older than that, I think that they would be able to take the adult passion test.
Okay.
And the biggest difference between the two is the passion test for kids, for the younger kids. They come up with their top passion, one passion. For adults, you come up with your top five passions. Yes. I also want to say about the passion test, just so that everybody knows, who created the passion test.
Yes.
And it was created by a woman, Janet Ray Atwood, and Chris Atwood.
Yes.
And there, for those of you who are interested and want to learn more about it, there is a book out there called The Passion Test, and which actually was on the bestseller list for many, many months.
Yes, yes. You know, one of the studies that I read concerning the passion test for kids says 79% of today's youth are concerned about their future. And the unfortunate thing is, you know, what it is that they're supposed to do with their future or how to even come up with what they want is not covered in today's curriculums in the school systems, right? And this is why they created that, so that at least it can help the kids determine what it is that they want to do.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's an awesome idea because, you know, going to college is not the same anymore. It costs so much money that to go into college without knowing what it is that you want to do, what a waste that would be.
And kids waste time.
They
waste
time.
a lot of time
and
a lot of money.
and a lot of money. So tell us about the process. What is this process? What are they going to get out of it?
Okay, so this is my favorite part. We all, you know, every single one of you parents out there, you want your child to live the most inspired, empowered, passionate life that they can, right? We all want that for our children. So I actually took some notes because I did not want to forget any of them. So once they, and we'll demonstrate the passion test for you just to give you an idea of what it looks like and how it works.
Yes.
So after going through the process, they become really clear about what is important to them and what their deepest desires are for their life. They create a plan to start living that life of passion right away. There's no delay once they know what they are. They learn how to make choices that keep them aligned with these passions, and we'll come back to that because that's pretty important. They discover their own unique gifts and talents. They learn how to overcome negative thoughts that may be holding them back. They automatically increase their self-esteem because let's face it, it feels good when we know what we're good at and what we enjoy doing. They create friendships and they have more harmonious relationships with their family, with their siblings, and with their friends. They learn the importance of being involved within their community. They learn team building skills and cooperation, but above all, they have a lot of fun doing it.
And you know, this is going to answer the question for those teenagers and parents that have been to my office in the high school.
Yes.
I have my passions pasted all over my walls. I have this big mansion that is like 15 bedrooms and 11-car garage, and they always wondered, oh, how are you going to buy that house? You're going to live in that big house? This is how I got to come up with that house.
Yes.
So we're going to demonstrate that process, and it's exciting.
It's a great
because every time
process.
I wake up and look at that house, I'm like, okay, I got to work hard, because in order for me to come up with the billions that it takes to buy such a house, I have to work hard.
Yes. And so let's go ahead and demonstrate
Sure.
it for them so that it's not mysterious. Yeah. So I also want to say, so what we do
So you know what? Let's do this. Let's take a quick break first, and then
Okay.
we come back and we just start that process. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We all want our students, our children, our teenagers to be more engaged, to be more empowered, and to love life and be able to make the right choices for their lives. So what we're doing today is going through a process, the passion test for kids and teenagers, that will help them come up with what it is that they want to do in their lives. So Susan is going to take me through the process, and we're going to show you what the passion test is all about.
Okay, hi. So we've talked about what kids will gain once they go through the test, and so now we would just like to demonstrate it for you. So the very first thing that we would ask kids to do is to write down their top 10 passions. Not give it a lot of thought, right? Don't overthink it. You just sit down and write what comes to your mind. Love to ride bikes. I love field hockey. Whatever it is. So for the purposes of this demonstration, prior to the show, DrStem, I had her write down her top 5. So typically what would happen is you'd start with a list of 10, and we would continuously go through the process to get to the top 5. For today, I'm only going to bring DrStem through it twice, just to give you an idea of what it looks like, okay? So are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
So should I read what I wrote, or you have? Oh,
I've
you've
got them. So the very first thing that, because we call this a heart-based activity, which means we don't want kids to be in their head. We want them to be in their heart, because that's deeper listening, right? That's deeper listening, and we're not overthinking anything. So the very first thing I'm going to do to get you in your heart is I'd like you to close your eyes and tap your heart. And I want you to...
Where's my heart?
And I want you to envision a person that means a lot to you in your life, somebody you love very deeply. And the reason I'm asking Dr. Stem, to think about a person she loves is that immediately puts us into our heart. Okay. Take a deep breath. Excellent. So Dr. Stem has written down these top 5 passions. And you start, and the sentence begins with, I am living my ideal life when I'm living in a mansion, when I'm a TV star, when I'm making billions of dollars, when I have a loving family, and when I'm traveling. Okay? So there are 3 levels of questions when you get stuck, because sometimes when we're going through this process, people will hesitate. And so when they hesitate, I know that I need to bring them to a deeper level. So I'm going to have Dr. Stem hesitate the second time around so that I can demonstrate these 3 different ways of asking the question. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Stem, which is more important to you, living in a mansion or being a TV star?
Being a TV star.
Okay, and which is more important to you, being a TV star or making billions of dollars? So you hear that slight hesitation. I know that I need to go to the next level of questioning. Dr. Stem, imagine yourself being a TV star. You're living that passion out of 10, but in that picture, you're not making billions of dollars. And now I want you to imagine that you're making billions of dollars, but in that picture, you're not a TV star. Which matters most?
Making billions of dollars.
Okay. Dr. Stem, which is more important to you, making billions of dollars or having a loving family? Okay, slight hesitation. I'm going to bring her to the second line of questioning. I want you to imagine that you're making billions of dollars, but in that picture, there's no loving family. Now I want you to imagine having a loving family, but in that picture, you are not making billions of dollars. Which matters most? Still a hesitation, and this is where we go to our last question. This is to our last level of questioning. She's had her eyes closed the whole time. You don't need to keep your eyes closed the whole time.
Oh, I can see my mansion and my billions, so I don't want to open my eyes.
So this is the point where I would ask her intentionally to close her eyes. Okay, I want you to relax, and I want you to really envision that you're making billions of dollars. You are living this passion out of 10. You are making money hand over fist. You can buy whatever you want. I want you to really feel it. See how it feels, okay? Now I want you to put that feeling in that picture aside. Now I want you to imagine having just a loving family. You're together all the time. You're taking trips together. You're doing all of these beautiful things together. Really notice how it feels. But in that picture, you're not making billions of dollars. Which feels better?
Having the family.
Excellent. So you see the difference. The first question is, which is more important? The second is, which matters most? And the third is really getting you to that point of you're feeling it. You're feeling what it feels like in each of these passions. And so for her, it was having a loving family. So then I'm going to ask, so now I only have one more for her. So Dr. Stem, which is more important, having a loving family or traveling the world? Which is more important?
Traveling the world.
Okay.
No, I just the family.
Do you want, okay, let's go to the next level of questioning. And so then I would bring her through the next level of questioning again until she got to, let's say that she changed her mind and it's having a loving family. That would become her number one passion.
Yeah.
I would then bring you through this 4 more times to get you to your top 5 passions.
And you said I didn't have to close my eyes all the time.
No, you didn't. You don't have to.
You don't
Some
have
people
to.
do. I think that when people do close their eyes, I think it allows us to stay in that heart place.
Yes. The great thing about this whole process is that, you know, the 2 of us are certified passion test facilitators, and we will be in your town, somewhere in your city, providing this, you know, test for you and your children this summer. We're starting this summer to do a tour where we'll be conducting the passion test, because it's such an awesome process that even the parents will get excited and also come up with their own passions. Isn't that?
I'm happy that you brought that up, because there is something else that's rather sweet about the passion test for families, which they actually do have that training. But what Dr. Stem is saying is really true. What makes this even more special is when the family does it together.
Together, yes.
You can all sit down in the living room together and just write out your top 10 passions. You can have a passion test night, you know, where you're doing something. You know, maybe your son picks, you know, it's focused on his top passion one Friday night,
yes.
And then you focus on Dad's passion. There's so many creative ways that you can use this to truly live a more inspired family life as well.
Yeah, I like that, because in the past 2 weeks we've had guests that came in here. One was a school principal for over 30 years, and you know, we had someone else who was in her 80s, and she was, you know, she has lived in this community over 80-something years. And we were asking, what is it that families need to come back to in order to get closer with their children and in order to have a family unit?
Yes.
And what you're saying is, you know, let's focus on some of the passions for the children. That will get them to sit down.
Yes.
Because then that's supportive in, you know, bringing everyone together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to live out their most passionate life they can? We all do. And I think for teenagers, it's even more important, because, you know, a lot of our teens, if they're disengaged, if they are not excited about what they're doing, this is when we can see teens. You don't want a bored teen, because then they're going to find ways to fill their time, and sometimes it's not the best choices in the whole world.
Exactly. Let's reach back on that one. As soon as we come back, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back. We're still talking about finding your passions. As you saw before we went on break, I was taken through finding my top 5 passions. May I reiterate what those were? It was just a quick thing for an example. Living in a mansion, being a TV star, making billions a year, having a loving family, and traveling. And those are some of the things that I wanted to put on my list. As she said, you can have as many as 10 and then narrow them down to your top 5. So these are my top 5. After I do that, what next?
So, yeah, and I do want to make sure we clarify. You will all, when we're taking somebody through this, you do come up with 10 to 15, because we want to bring you down to your top 5.
Yes.
Sometimes you're surprised by people. You know, I know that many of you might be out there going, "Oh, I know what my top 5 passions are," but you know what? That's what's so beautiful about the process, because the more I bring you through it, the more you really start listening at a much deeper level, right? For me, I call it the soul level.
The soul, yes.
So once you've got your top 5 passions, excuse me, then what I would do is ask you to rate them on a scale of 0 to 10. And this is just to let you know how much are you actually living that passion out. So for example, if for Dr. Stem, her top passion was having a loving family. Now, you don't have children yet, is that right?
No husband yet.
Okay,
so that's a 0.
So yeah, Dr. Stem would say, I am that top passion at a 0. But that is not, this is not, you can't flunk this test. It's an indicator to you to say, hey, this is one of my top passions, and that's not showing up in my life right now.
So actually,
Right.
I can put a 5 because I have a loving partner. So I'm in a loving relationship with a partner.
Yes.
So 5, because he will kill me if he doesn't mention that he's around. So okay, 5.
Okay, so 5. So you ask yourself, what can I do with this passion if it's at a 5? How can I get it to a 6 or a 7? What would that passion look like for you if you were living it at a 10?
At a 10.
Right? So that's again the beauty of the test, because it's really touching. It's getting so clear about what do I love to do, and am I doing it, and what do I have to do to live it, to live that passion at a 10.
Yeah, right.
The more we are living our passions, the happier we are.
Yes.
And then after that, so you've rated your so you've taken the test, you've got your top 5, you've rated them on a scale 0 to 10. And the next thing that you do, and this is one of my favorites, is you have passion test cards. So you have these little cards, you can make them, you can type them out, you can do whatever you want, but the important thing is that you have them. And so for a teen, I would say put them everywhere you're gonna see them. You know, you might put them on your dresser, you might tape them to your mirror, you might, wherever you frequent, you know, wherever you are going to make sure that you see them every day. This is called, oh, and here's the secret. I'm going to share a secret with everybody. The secret code is attention. What do you put your attention? No, I'm sorry. Intention.
Intention.
Right? What's your intention? Your intentions are what you're going to do when you're living your most ideal life, okay?
Yes. Yes.
Your attention is when you're actually putting attention on those passions. And then no tension, which means you let it go. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. So you write down your top 5 passions, you have them hanging all over your house.
And then if you're creative like me, I have the whole picture of the mansion, and then you put a whole picture of all those
Exactly.
billions of dollars,
Yes.
and the programs that you'll
Yes.
be helping out, and
Yes.
how you'll be helping people build new houses.
And that is Dr. Stem putting attention on her intention, right? So her intention is, I want a mansion. Now she's putting attention on it. She's creating a picture. She's cutting things out of magazines. She's really putting, she's putting meat around that passion,
Yes.
like really putting her focus on it. And then the beauty of it is she doesn't have to know the how. She doesn't have to know how she's going to get that mansion. That's what we call no tension. You put it out into the universe, whatever language you like to use. And
Yeah, but let me clarify there, Susan, because then when it comes to, you don't even have to know the how, you don't even have to put any effort into accomplishing what it is that you've put there. I want to make sure that I clarify that, especially for the teenagers.
Okay.
Because the difference is when we say that, they say, well,
I don't
I
have to
know
do
exactly. I
anything.
don't have to get up and go to school.
Right.
I don't have to get the A's. I don't have to do my homework. Let me make a correction.
Yeah.
What we mean is, if you are living in a neighborhood where, there are gangs on the streets, there are, crime, there's nothing positive that is happening around you, and you go, yeah, right. Me dreaming of living into $1 million home and earning this kind of money, it's not going to happen. Look at where I'm living right now. What we are saying is, you do what you have to do. That is, attend the school, get your grades, go to college, and see yourself get whatever it is that you intend to get, and some more.
okay, let's go a little bit deeper into that, because I agree with you. Let's
Yes.
use a really tangible example.
Okay.
Let's say that your passion is education, love of learning. You love to learn. You have aspirations. You wanna teach at Princeton someday.
Yes.
Let's just say. So when I say that you know what your passion is and you're putting attention on it, putting attention is actually, how do I say this, Dr. Stem? When you're putting attention on it, you are doing,
You're working
toward it.
Yes.
What I mean is you may not have to know right now, where are you going to get the money to go to Princeton?
Yes.
Where are you going to get the money to get through, to get your bachelor's degree, and then to get your master's degree, to go on to get your PhD? Because the next step is something that we call, help me out.
The markers.
Yeah, the markers. Thank you, Dr. Stem. They're called markers.
I was wondering, I'm like, what is it?
And we call them guideposts because if you think about if you're taking a trip and you see the mile markers on a highway, you know that you're getting closer and closer to your destination. So if I want to get my master's degree from Princeton, one of my markers would be graduating with my bachelor's, right? That's a marker to tell me that I'm getting closer. And the markers are really important because once you have your markers, that's where you put down your goals of how to reach those markers, which will eventually get you to living out your true passion.
As you can tell, this is a process,
It's a
that
process.
takes a day sometimes. For some people, it takes days for us to train you and take you through it. It's an exciting process, as you can see us discussing what it is that it takes. So my suggestion is you contact one of us and walk you through that process or attend one of the workshops for the passion test for kids and teenagers, or if you're an adult and you want to join in on the passion test for adults, then this will be a process that will be so exciting but eye-opening for you to know what it is that you're passionate about. Because I like what you said, the more that you're living your passion, the happier that you are.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I can see the passion in you because when you're discussing it, it's almost like, there's a principle that you also mentioned, you know, and I don't think we have talked, you know, more about it. It's called use it or lose it principle. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and in fact, I made notes on this too because I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys accurate information.
Yes.
You know, from the time that we come into this world until around 10 to 12 years of age, we're creating connections in our brain. And you can sort of think of this like branches and leaves growing on a tree. In scientific terms, we are expanding gray matter in the brain, and that's where all of our connections live, in this gray matter. Then at the age of 12, around 12, we begin to experience what we call pruning.
Yeah.
And this will continue throughout your teen years.
Okay.
And then even into our early 20s. Pruning is when, and I'm going to read this, direct quote. Pruning is when all of the unused connections are falling off and used connections are growing stronger.
I know. I'm looking at you and we're doing this and I thought, oh my God, we've been just going on and on and on. And I forgot that we have a time issue. So what we're going to do is, you know what, this is an exciting process. We're going to have to bring back Susan and we can talk about losing it and using it and more about the passion test. So for today, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Yeah, once again, we had Susan Casey with us in the studios today. Thank you for watching the DrStem Show.
Please stop by and read my blog at scasey2012.com and feel free to drop me an email at susan@susanecasey.com.